Previously on my review for Cozy Grove. Now, I have not finished this game. In fact, I don't think any reviewer has. It's a title that is expected to take months to finish, and the publisher says it has over 40 hours worth of content. As you can see on day 13, I have over 10 hours into the game. So if you factor that in, that means I'm 1/4 of the way done with this thing. I have to laugh when I hear that. 1/4 of the way through the game? I ended up putting 110 hours into this title. Now, just as a reminder, I did get this game from the publisher, so I'm going to disclose that like usual. Now, this is not a review of Cozy Grove. I've already done that. This is my revisit of it after I played it for 4 months and got to the end credits. Because my review of Cozy Grove originally only had my initial feelings for it. Honestly, I pretty much nailed it. But there was some more stuff that kind of bugged me over time. But before I start getting into rants and complaints about the gameplay itself, I want to make it clear, I still enjoyed this game. I didn't miss a day. And I finished the game on day 112. There was a time when I genuinely looked forward to playing this title. And wherever I was like, I wish I was playing Cozy Grove. So for the price of $14.99, you really do get your money's worth. But it's going to be a very infuriatingly slow, moving, relaxing game. Which is strange to put those two things together. Now, this video is going to have spoilers in it, if you can call it that. It's going to be the most obvious spoilers that you could probably guess without even playing the game. But if you want to go into it totally fresh, you should stop the video now and just buy it. I will say that I was on the Discord for this game, and quite often I was giving them my take on the title, and I got a lot of pushback. Not on everything, but mostly about the pacing of the game. People didn't like my complaints about how everything was going so slowly, but I have made my thoughts clear to the publisher of this game already. There are quite a few things wrong with this title. Some of them could actually be fixed, and others can't. Let's get to the one that really can't be fixed. It runs terribly on the Switch. It has consistent lag, pop-in, and it's far from a smooth experience. Even the credits didn't run right. It was a bit jerky. However, you could deal with it. There was a part where I thought the game had froze. It was just stopped because it was trying to load in 50 NPCs into the game for a quest. It was at that moment I thought I heard the Switch crying in the distance. Now, one of the issues that could be fixed is the pacing of the plot. It goes at a glacier pace. However, people would say it's supposed to be relaxing and not a game that you rush. Now, I'm saying you can keep it relaxing and keep good story beats. These things are not mutually exclusive. The answer is simple. Have story quests be the main thing that you get when you talk to ghosts. Maybe even wrap up the whole you're stranded on the island thing halfway through the game and then come back to the island for a reason. It would actually solve a lot of the problems I actually have with that part of the story, but we'll get into that in a second. In the first half of the game, the story quests were coming quite often. However, towards the end of this thing, it's clear that everything is over and they're just wrapping things up with like 6 or 7 ghosts left, and those ghosts are basically ready to go anyway. But the game doesn't want to end, so it pointlessly gives you timed quests, which are optional but serve no purpose other than giving you random items. At that point, you've already have a lot of money, items, and material. You really won't need anything, unless you really like the decorating part of this game, but I'm going to get into that in a bit as well. To fix the pacing problems, they could combine quests and storylines so everything didn't feel so dragged out. The very first ghost you meet is one of the last to leave, and actually a requirement to leave. Why not just have her leave sooner? It got to the point where she was there so long, and her quests came like once or twice a week, I forgot why she was even there. Having it last so long takes all the tension out of the experience. Now, you can't see the history of each of these ghosts and the way the story has been moving, but you shouldn't have to do that. Just keep the story tight. Some of the ghosts go fairly quickly to the afterlife, and by that I mean it usually takes about a month or so. The pacing is much better on the later ghosts, and I wish they had done that like on all of them. Basically, this game has no confidence that you'll come back to it after you finish the game. Why not leave some ghosts open so we come back to it after the credits? There is one ghost I had left over, but he was basically done anyway. After that, you're just doing decorations. And if you don't care about that, then the game is done. At least with Spiritfarer, which is another game that is kind of like the same thing where you're dealing with ghosts, it knew to leave some stuff to do after the game is over. That way you keep playing. This game, there really isn't any incentive to keep going. Another problem I had was the overall story itself. In the beginning of this game, when I reviewed this, there was talk of helping her get off this island, and they would send messages to you to see how you were doing. In the back half of this, though, your parents never contact you. The scout leader doesn't even mention a rescue, and spends most of the letters that he sends you talking about some nonsense in their lives. What are you, their pen pal? How about you actually get me off this island? These people don't give a shit about you. It's shameful. At the very end of the game, they show you a picture of your parents greeting you at the dock when you finally get off that island. And I would have loved it if they spun that picture around and it was just my character flipping them off. Every single character who isn't a ghost is basically a terrible person. And even some of the ghosts were bad, but at least they started getting better throughout the days that I was with them. The basic story about this is that you're a poor stranded scout on an island full of ghosts who never eats and dreams of a hellish red hue. Half the reason I wanted to finish this game was to see if she was in purgatory and died in the crash that stranded her on this island. But it turned out no, just nobody gave a care about her at all. Now, like I mentioned, there's a lot of things that could be fixed. How about sending the character some mails asking how she's doing? Maybe saying they're trying to get some help to rescue her. To the creators of this game's credit, they've done a lot to make the quests less taxing. They're constantly lowering what you need and making changes mainly to the first parts of the game. They also added more stuff to do, so it's very well possible they'll fix the pacing issues in the future. Another thing that I didn't like was when you do get a bear to cross over and move on, they don't actually move on. They just turn yellow and you can still talk to them. It would have been way more emotional if they would leave and come back when you finally were about to leave the island. There was this one part of the game that I really didn't care about, which was decorating, mainly because it was ridiculous. I believe there's over 2,000 recipes you can find to make items that you can use to decorate, but often the ingredients you need to find were just unreasonable. Like having to find 150 deer essences. I think that was one of them. I barely get a few a day and they want you to use all of it on a pointless item. That's just one example. There might be one that you need a lot of hardwood or another rare item. Sure, there are lesser items that take much easier ingredients to get, but they're not as nice. I just wish they took the requirements down to a reasonable amount. Cozy Grove is still enjoyable, even with the terrible frame rate and pacing. Overall, I enjoyed my time with it. It was way more addicting than I expected. There are quite a few problems with it though, but most of it can be fixed. It's still worth a buy, but you should know going in that 40-hour plus that they mentioned in the information is not true. It's going to take almost triple that. You're going to need to collect a lot of different kinds of material, or you'll be stuck behind a story mission because they often ask you to get something that you're going to need to grind to get, and that's going to take up a lot of time. However, if you're in the mood for a relaxing game where you help ghosts and learn about who they are and what's keeping them here, then this game is worth a buy.